Good morning, children. This is Karan sir, your assistant teacher, and I welcome you all in this online class of Scottish Public School, Barsui. So, this class is going to be about introducing history. This is the first chapter of class 6 history. So, this video is for class 6 students. History chapter 1, lecture number 2. And this chapter is about history, introducing history is the name of the chapter. So, in previous class, I told you that what is history. We have studied some part of this chapter. So, go to the page number 2 and I told you to remember 3 definitions of prehistory, pro-history and history. So, I hope some of you have remembered, and those who have not remembered, please make sure that today you should remember it, write it down in a rough notebook and send it into the group so that I can check it. So, taking this chapter further today, sources of history. Let's study about this. History is studied on the basis of records of the past events. These records are known as the sources of history. It means if we are studying any sort of history on the basis of what we are studying and how we can say that these information shared in the history are correct. So we take them from different sources. So any source that gives us information about the past events, people and their way of life will be termed as source of history, right? So, the scholars who studied the past using various sources are called historians. The people who study history, who study different sources of history, are known as historians. It means, what will be the Hindi of historians? It will be itihaskar. They explore clues and materials left behind by the people in the past. It means they explore the clues and material left behind by the people. It means in the past there were periods, the people who has left some of the things like coins, statues, seals or other things, other tools. They explore them, they try to understand those hints, those clues, and they give their ideas, they give their thinking. So, those people are known as historians, and the sources of a period can include fossil remains. Now, what can be the forms of these sources of information? They can be fossil remains, bones, remains of the settlements, monuments, utensils, pottery, tools, implements, literature, and written records, paintings, inscriptions, edicts, and coins. It means these are the various things which can be considered as a source of information. It means now question arises, what is fossil remains? It means the animals which have died lakhs of years back, 2 lakh years back, 3 lakh years back. So their fossil remains, it means when a big animal like a dinosaur dies, it get into the under the earth's surface and the entire body part that turns into the fossil fuel, that turns as a crude. It means that turns into the petroleum product. So what happens? Those things, fossil remains, it means those things are also a source of information. Bones, it means the skeleton system of the dead animals that can be found beneath the earth. That is also a source of information. Remains of the settlements. Suppose that somewhere there was a society 5,000 years back. Now if in the excavation while digging the earth's surface, they found that there were some sort of thing, some settlement like houses or something like is found. So those remains are also known as the settlement remains. Monuments means the buildings in the older days which were made. The buildings will come under the monument category. Utensils, the pots used by them to cook, to eat, to anything, those things will become under utensil. Pottery, same thing, pottery. Tools, it means the small tools like eggs, knives or other arrows, like those things. Implements means anything that was used by them. And in literature, written records, painting, it means the cave paintings, maybe there may be some other clay painting or something like that. Other things, inscriptions are the written records on a rock. When people use a hammer and a pen to write down something on the rock, that is known as inscription. Edicts and coins, it means the rulers issued some of the coins in the past, so those coins can be also considered as a source of information. Broadly, we can divide these sources of literary history into the two groups, archaeological and literary. So, archaeological sources. The archaeologist shows sources include fossil remains, artifacts, tools and implements, edicts, inscriptions, monuments, coins and so on. So these things will become under archaeological sources. The scholars who explore the things, these sources of the past are called archaeologists. The person who study those things, the scholars, the intellectuals, those who study those things are known as archaeologists. Now the fossil remains, we will have to study fossil remains. Fossils are the remains of the plants, animals or the human body parts from the past preserved in rocks. It means if some dead animal is fallen under a rock, under a mountain, that will turn into a fossil remain after 2-3 lakh years later. These have been buried for millions of years. The imprints of the hard body parts such as bones and the skulls leave a permanent mark on the rocks. Fossils are the main source of information for many species of plant and animals that have become extinct. For example, we can take dinosaur. All of us have heard about dinosaur. What is dinosaur? Dinosaur was a big animal, creature who lived 4-5 lakh years back, 3 lakh years back. So we have found its skeleton in some part of the world. That is how the scholars has developed a theory that there was an animal called dinosaur. It was this much big. So monuments also, and monuments, artifacts, inscription, we will take this part of the chapter in the next lecture. So pause it.